Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. We are bringing you day 23 of our 31 Perfect Album series. I am joined again by my wonderful panel here. We have Bill Schuster. How's it going, Bill?
Awesome, Armando. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay for my second cup of coffee of the day. We also have Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it going?
Going well. Thank you very much for having me.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. And last but by no means least, we have Jim Bricker.
Hello. 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 Happy to be here with all y'all just talking about stuff we love so much.
This is a wonderful topic, and it's great. I'm enjoying it. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, day 23 of our 31 perfect albums. And yeah, these are albums, as I've said before, that we personally think are perfect from track 1 to track 21. And as is customary with these episodes, I will pass the virtual mic down to Mr. Bill Schuster, who's going to give us his pick for day 23.
Thank you, Armando. I'm moving up to 1992 now, but I'm sticking with the theme I've been on with female artists. And I just realized looking through some liner notes here that this album has a connection with two of my previous three choices, the Indigo Girls and Roger Waters. Oddly enough, the Roger Waters connection is drummer Andy Newmark, who played on both albums. The Indigo Girls connection is, well, Amy and Emily themselves, who guest on this album. This is a very successful, I guess you could call it crossover album by Mary Chapin Carpenter. It's Come On, Come On.
Oh,
This album is pretty diverse. It was kind of considered a country album at the time, and that's of course where how it was marketed and had its most success. But it's a whole lot more than that. And it's very all over the map. It's a rocker. It's a folk song. It's a little bit of this, that, and everything. I was introduced to this album by Passionate Kisses, her cover of the Lucinda Williams song, and Lucinda's great to this day. Mary Chapin's cover is the definitive version. It's just full of joy. That piano intro just and the passion in her vocal performance. I really feel like she believes it when she's saying, "Shouldn't I have this? Shouldn't I have all of this and more?" And passionate kisses from you, just and really, it's the whole album is quite emotional from her. Most of the songs she wrote or co-wrote herself, of course. There is at least one more cover, "The Bug," the Dire Straits song. But for the most part, it's the songs that she wrote herself, or she wrote with legendary songwriter Don Schlitz, stand out quite a bit. Another big track off the album that Armando and I have talked about before is, of course, one of those Don Schlitz co-writes. He thinks he'll keep her, which is a pretty devastating song.
yeah.
When she was 36, she met him at their door. She said, "I'm sorry, I don't love you anymore." I mean, my wife and I are still together after all these years, but just the thought gets me choked up. Just hearing her sing that, just reading that lyric, and you go through the whole song. It's pretty brutal. But then there's joyful stuff like "I Feel Lucky," which was a big hit. And it was a real tongue-in-cheek. Just I'm out having a good time, going to get a lottery ticket, and talks about being in a bar, and mentions Dwight Yoakam and Lyle Lovett, and how they're both hitting on her, and it's
Dining
just a
country,
lot
I
of
don't know
fun.
what is.
Uh, there is let's see, my favorite song on the album though is probably the closing track, the title track, which was written by Mary Chapin herself. "Come On, Come On." It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's a very moving track, and yeah, her voice just slays me here. I'm getting choked up again just hearing it in my head. I mean,
Just
and
calm
the
down.
lyrics help, but it's the performance. It's a photograph taken in Paris at the end of the honeymoon in 1948, late in the month of June. your parents smile for the camera and see in the shades of light. Now you're older than they were that summer night. That's kind of a thoughtful, sobering thing, the idea
Oh
of looking
God.
at. I mean, I do the same when I look back at pictures of my parents. I'm lucky enough that both my parents are still around at this point,
Mhm.
but it's inevitable. um, and the idea of seeing my parents when they were younger than me, or when they were even before I was born, it's quite an image. It's quite a thing to think about. But really, I love Mary Chapin Carpenter's entire catalog. But if I had to pick one, if there's one that represents her, it's this. I think as she moved on a bit, there was a bit less sonic diversity. She got a lot more into uh, more straightforward, kind of folky singer songwriter stuff. Not quite as many hooks, maybe,
Mhm.
which the stuff's still great, but it's not quite this. This is a little bit of everything, the kitchen sink included. Yeah. A very well deserved success from Mary Chapin Carpenter. Come on,
Yeah,
come
very
on.
good.
Yeah, I remember the single for with the video for He Thinks He'll Keep Her. It was a live performance video. Um, Powerful song.
Yeah.
And when I hear that song, I think, who the hell do you think you are? You think you'll keep who the like I get really irate about that. Due to my past experiences and stuff, it's just like, who do you think you are? It's my good. It's a good album. It's a good choice. All right, over to Ken.
Okay. We're jumping to the end of the decade, June 29th, 1989. Um, Jim opened this door the other day, and it's an album by an artist that's just one of my all-time favorites. It would be easy just to make half of this list, with his albums. It peaked at 66 on the Billboard Top 200, but it did peak at number one on Top Contemporary Jazz for albums. And it was the Grammy winner for Best Jazz Fusion. And we're talking today about Letter from Home by the Pat Metheny Group. Bill. Um, hot off
Catch
the
up, Bill.
heels. Yeah. Hot off the hills from previous 2 years, Still Life Talking. And this, it could be argued which one is better between these two albums, but I particularly like this album, uh, just the way that the songs flow one into the other. When you got 12 songs like this, um, part of really good production, and Metheny did produce this album himself, is not just coming up and recording good songs, but it's the order that you place them in on the album.
Yeah.
And it goes anywhere from one song being 56 seconds to another one being just shy of 8 minutes. So you've got one extreme or the other and everything in between. Um, uh, it opens up with Have You Heard, which really does set the stage very well. And it's a track that they used for a long time to open their concerts with. And it really does just set what's coming up. But it also has another, for me, killer closing song, which is the title song, Letter from Home. It's just Metheny and Lyle Mays. And after I die, if I have a funeral, this is a song I want them to play while they're wheeling me out, because it's a little bit melancholy, but yet in a very positive way. It's just got that good feeling to it. As we talked about Secret Story yesterday, the Pat Metheny album, and just how it envelops you, in warmth and feeling. And this really does do it. some of the best songs that were co-composed by Metheny and Mays are on this album. And to me, they're my favorite songwriting duo. I mean, even beyond Lennon and McCartney. I just think they complemented each other so well. Each of their styles is different, but in the way they put these songs together, it's what's the saying? It's greater than the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just I could read the song list, but it's just 12 unbelievably excellent songs of different modes, different tempos. It's got the multimeter songs, and it's got the straight ahead. It's got the just regular guitar sounds. It's got the guitar synth. It just has everything for the Pat Metheny group, which is my favorite form of Pat Metheny albums for the most part. Letter from Home, Pat Metheny group, Bill.
I almost had that. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Ball's in your court, Bill. You need to pick it up.
I think this one is not going to be a grand slam either for Pat Metheny. I think a triple is pretty solid, though.
I'm not done.
Ah! Okay. All right.
I'm just gonna leave that there.
There, leave it there.
Okay, Jim, over to you.
All right. This is my last album from 1982. I promise. I promise. It's one that we've discussed before. I think Ken had this on his list, but because it's a double album, we're going to talk about it twice because it's twice as good as almost anything else from 1982, and that is XTC's English Settlement. It's the yes.
Okay. No, it's good. Go on. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about it before, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but for me, this is like the ultimate amalgam of punk attitude, new wave sensibilities, and jangle pop put through a
Oh, yeah.
veneer of world
Good way
music
to put it.
influences. Yeah, it's joyful and engaging throughout. There's some serious tracks, there's some silly tracks, but the whole thing just has this urgency and power that just doesn't date it at all. This album is rife with electric 12-string guitars, and it really provides this the jangle to the jangle pop that I mentioned. Fantastic album. Again, another Hugh Padgham production, right, Ken?
Yep.
Yeah, there are probably there's one other XTC album that sticks out in my mind that people would say, oh, you can't be picking English Settlement over this other one. But to me, it's not a contest. English Settlement to me is their biggest, broadest, and I think most successful statement overall of communicating what they wanted to put out there. And I think I've triple or quadruple dipped in buying this in its different versions over time, and I do not regret one of those purchases at all. So XTC, English Settlement, you got to hear it at least once. It's perfect.
Yep, it is a good album. It's really good. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, my pick for day 23. We are going to November 1st, 1994, for the release of Wildflowers from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, or Tom Petty at this point. This is a very personal album for Tom Petty. His first for Warner Brothers. He had left MCA. He was extremely upset with MCA and how they handled his contract and they expected product from him, and you basically, we own you, you do what we say, etc. I've gone over this before, but he basically told them, I would rather sell peanuts on the street corner before you tell me what to do, before I give you any more of my music, kind of a situation. So this album was supposed to be a double album, 25 songs, but Warner Brothers asked him to cut it down to a single album, so he acquiesced and cut out 10 tracks, which I'm surprised with an artist like, with the caliber of an artist like Tom Petty, that he did acquiesce and say, okay, I'll take off the 10 songs. Produced by Rick Rubin. He had it's funny, the background story of that was that Rick Rubin always wanted to work with Tom Petty. He had a copy of Full Moon Fever, and he listened to that album incessantly and wanted to work with him. He contacted MCA, the offices at the time, and they very emphatically told him, Tom Petty is produced solely by Jeff Lynne, case closed. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Well, I guess Tom Petty heard about that and contacted Rick Rubin. Let's work together. Let's meet and see what happens. So what you have here are 15 very introspective tracks. He was going through the breakup of his marriage at this point in time, and the songs are very much reflective of what's going on. The title track, where he's basically telling his wife, you belong among the wallflowers. You know, you need to be free. I can't give you any more. I can't give you what you need anymore. Or, you know, and we need to walk away from this. The lead off single, You Don't Know How It Feels. Massive drum sound provided by Steve Ferroni. At this point, Stan Lynch was basically fired from the band because he was very, according to Tom Petty, although he did contribute to the Heartbreaker sound, he was pretty much a loose cannon at this point and didn't like what was going on musically and was unreliable. So he said, okay, he called a meeting with the other members of the Heartbreakers and said, I can't work with him anymore. We have to do something. Ben Montaigne said, it's your band. You have to do what you feel is right. So Stan Lynch is out. Steve Ferroni's in. Massive drum sound on that one track. Time to Move On. Another fantastic song. Again, these song titles are pretty much self-evident as to what's happening with it in his life. You Wreck Me is another single. Good song, good hard rocking track.
Yeah.
I've always said Mike Campbell is an unsung hero. He can do anything in terms of guitar and multi-instrumentalist. Just brilliant. Just brilliant. It's Good to Be King is another single, good track. Only a Broken Heart is another good one. Honeybee, you know, just pretty much you know what, let's you and I get busy somewhere. Come on, let's go have some fun, right? Don't Fade on Me is another brilliant song. Hard on Me, another good song. All these songs are pretty much, again, very they tell a story as to what's going on with Tom Petty personally. Cabin Down Below is another fantastic track. To Find a Friend, meaning for him at that point, he was like, who can I trust anymore? You know, my marriage is breaking up. I've, you know, although my kids understand what's happening, they could see it happening. Do they really understand what's going on? And are they really going to be behind me when this happens? Are they going to support me? You know, A Higher Place is next. Again, trying to find peace and tranquility in what he thought was rough seas personally at the time. House in the Woods, another good one. Crawling Back to You, which is basically saying, I got to stop doing this. I got to stop relying on you to make me happy when we're not happy together anymore. And the album ends off with Wake Up Time. Basically, it's a, you know, snapping fingers, you know, saying to himself, this has got to stop. I got to move on and do something different and be kinder to myself. This album, to me, it should have been released as a double album because the 10 songs, I won't go into the 10 tracks, but they should have been included on the album. It should have been a double album. This album has been reissued in a remastered version, 4-disc set, 5-disc set, and it's been reissued as Wildflowers and All the Rest, meaning all the rest, all the bonus, the 10 tracks that were left off of the original album. This album is featured in a documentary that is solely available on YouTube called Wildflowers, the documentary. Please check it out. 88 minutes of your time. It is well worth it. It shows archival footage of Tom Petty. They talked to Rick Rubin. They talked to Mike Campbell, Benmont Tench about what happened within the band. Steve Ferroni's in there too. Just amazing. And there was one thing I got to mention quick. Mike Campbell mentioned how they liked working with Rick Rubin as opposed to Jeff Lynne because Rick Rubin wanted a live band sound in the studio. Whereas with Jeff Lynne, as brilliant as he is, you would come up with a musical idea. Oh, I can do this on a keyboard. I can do this on a drum machine. And he did not like working, according to Mike Campbell, Jeff Lynne did not like working with bands. He always preferred just working with the artist and a drum machine and a keyboard and a bass guitar or a guitar. What's fantastic about this album is it is autobiographical, it is melodic, it is rocking, and I'm very sorry that I didn't pay attention to Tom Petty's work when he was alive. I truly am. Because there's a documentary out there called Running Down a Dream, directed by Peter
Very good.
Bogdanovich. I'm watching this documentary, and I'm crying. Tears are rolling down my face at this point, much like now, because I felt that I missed out on an opportunity when he was alive to enjoy his music and his contribution to music. And I'm just glad that we're able to enjoy it now. But please check this album out if you haven't yet. What are you waiting for? Get the documentary, please. It's done in many versions as a 4-disc version of the documentary on 2 discs, and then the concert that they do. I believe it was in 27, just before he passed. Sorry, the date escapes me now, but it features Stevie Nicks making an appearance on this in this concert. It is just brilliant. And do yourself a favor, check out the documentary on YouTube. You will not be disappointed. So that is my choice for day 23. Wildflowers from Tom Petty.
I wanna second the recommendation on that that live set that comes with the Running Down the Dream documentary by Bogdanovich. I mean, the setting was in Georgia, Florida. It was like a 30th anniversary concert, and yeah, Stevie's out there for 3 or 4 songs. But to me, that is like the perfect vehicle to see how far expansive the Heartbreakers could go and what they could play and how they could pull things off. You've got everything from these, the pure pop, perfection confections, I think, as you call them, Armando, to these Grateful Dead type jams that just stretch and go. And yeah, Mike Campbell's playing, Benmont Tench. Those guys were the secret weapons of the Heartbreakers, and really brought Tom's songs to life. So,
and you
yeah,
could,
big +1.
This concert that's on this documentary in this set, I was able to get it for like $23.95 on Amazon, and when I saw it for a cheap price, I'm like, done. And when I saw it, I was like blown away. Again, I was crying because it's like I missed out on something here. When when you see the show, they are happy to be together. They are looking at each other, they're engaging with one another, they're smiling, they're hugging one another. They couldn't get Stevie Nicks off the stage because once she came out to do one song, the Stop Dragging My Heart Around, she wouldn't leave the stage. All of a sudden she comes out, she goes off stage, comes back with a gold shawl around her. I'm thinking, okay, she's going to do Gold Dust Woman. But no, she just sings back up. She wouldn't leave the stage, right? And there's a story about how she wanted to join the Heartbreakers in 1979 when Fleetwood Mac were doing Tusk. She had said, if he had asked me to join the Heartbreakers, I would have left Fleetwood Mac and joined the Heartbreakers. And she kept asking him, can I join your band? And he's like, but Stevie, there are no women in the Heartbreakers. So I can do
It's
this.
very heartbreaking. Yeah.
I can do
Yes.
this. He says, Stevie, stay where you are. You're fine. You're fine. Like you don't need to. I'm here. I'm always going to be here with you. We're friends. If you want me to write music for you, we will. We'll write music together. He actually got her a very brief tangent. Spoiler alert. She, just before she wrote her album Trouble in Shangri-La, they went out to dinner together. She and Petty. And she wanted him to help her write music for her album. And he looked at her and said, you're Stevie Nicks. You can do this. You can write songs. You are a prolific songwriter. You can do this. I have faith in you. Just go back home or wherever, whatever you do, and just write an album. And she went home and she did it. She also got in trouble because for their album, Say You Will in 03, she took a song of his without his permission. She took the demo and she presented it to the band to record for the album. And he called her. He said, you tell them that they are not allowed to use that track. You use that track, I will sue you. And and I will win because you took that without my permission. I'll forgive you this time, but don't you ever do that to me again. Like, oh, they had their moments, right? They had their moments. But anyways, that's enough of my pontificating. I think that this album should be talked about more. The fifth disc in this collection is an alternate version of Wildflowers. It's the alternate takes, alternate lyrics. It's only available, it's available, sorry, as a standalone copy, but you can also get it in a fifth disc version of this box set, of this reissue, sorry, of Wildflowers. So please check it out.
Cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of day 23 of, we almost leaked into day 24, actually, with this recording. We have come to the end of day 23. I am so sorry for going on and on and on. That's what editing is for. And I want to thank Bill, Ken, and Jim for helping me out with this episode and episodes previous and to come. And we will see you soon with episode 24, or day 24, sorry, of 31 Perfect Albums. Take care and have a very good day. Bye for now.